when we discuss strategies, it has to be said that this Hamas attack, the brutality that was witnessed,
surprising.
it was clearly a part of the military strategy here. They wanted to massacre as many civilians as possible. They wanted to do it in as brutal ways as possible. They wanted to take hostages with them, to take them back to Gaza, and they wanted to. The idea here is simply to provoke the Israelis into overreacting, into in turn punish the Palestinians living in Gaza by an attack that would be merciless. If this would have happened, then in turn there could have been a counter-reaction from the Arab world. So some of these horrific videos that we have been seeing in recent days, they're clearly part of a strategy by the Hamas leadership. But whether this is something that will work to their benefit in the long run is something that remains to be seen. But again, I'm doubtful that Hamas has made a smart decision here. Rather, it will simply be the complete eradication of their political movement in the Gaza Strip, at least. It's naturally, as with ISIS, for example, today, they lost control of the territory that they held in Syria and Iraq for some time, and they were dispersed. Some of them are still living in prison camps or whatever you want to call it, that are on Kurdish territory. Some of them have fled to other parts of the world. Some of them are still out in the countryside trying to wage some form of guerrilla warfare. So the idea is still alive. They are still there, but they don't have control of a continuous piece of territory. And the same is most likely to happen with Hamas after this war is over. What can we then expect from the ground invasion? Because now, yesterday, we found out that Joe Biden is traveling to Israel on Wednesday. And it seems that Israel has agreed not to start a ground invasion, not to escalate it by doing something big before he comes, because then they would endanger him as well. You could expect that there would be rocket attacks from Hamas, whatever they have left. Hezbollah could also join in from Lebanon. It would make his visit to Israel much more dangerous. So probably this ground invasion will have to wait another 3-4 days or so. But once it comes, it will be a difficult situation, because the Gaza Strip is, as the name suggests, strip. It's very narrow. It is a little bit longer, stretching from Egypt up toward maybe not central Israel, but at least a few kilometers into Israeli territory. But when it comes to width, it's
very narrow.
Very narrow. So technically, for the Israeli army, they don't really need to advance that far in order to penetrate the territory, reach the coast, and thus split the strip into 2 or 3 or even more parts, making it impossible for Hamas to send weapons or orders back and forth over there. It is, however, you could say it's a bastion, because Hamas has been in power now for more than 15 years. Israel used to occupy the Gaza Strip previously, up until 2005.
2005, that's right.
But they left, and ever since, for the first year or so, there were talks between Fatah and Hamas. They had elections. But in the end, it ended with a conflict, and Hamas was clearly the stronger party, and they threw Fatah out. Since then, they had complete dictatorial power in Gaza, and they have used a lot of their time there, because the resources that reach Gaza are quite slim. There is a blockade for many things. Many many things that could, by Israel, are considered to be of dual use. That they could be beneficial to civilians, but they could also have military functions. For example, something as simple as concrete, for example. So Israel has been letting in certain amounts of it, but it's not a free market that anything can enter. Nevertheless, Hamas has used a lot of these building materials to build a very sophisticated network of tunnels below the Gaza Strip, making it much more difficult for the Israelis now when they will be launching their counter or ground offensive rather. Another issue is the high population density in the Gaza Strip. You have 2 million people that live on a space that I think comparing to Warsaw is probably 1/4 or 1/5 smaller or so, and nearly, well, maybe not nearly, but still a little bit more populous than Warsaw. So you have a lot of civilians in a small crowded space. As Egypt is not opening the border for these refugees, they will be squeezed in there. For now, the Israelis have said that they should evacuate from the northern part of Gaza, Gaza City itself, so to say. And further down to the south, you have Khan Yunis and another couple of settlements, which are not as densely populated as Gaza City itself.
Adam, alas, the clock in the corner of the studio is flashing at me that time is up. So if we may ask you to pause there and we'll pick up the story next time. There we are. I've had to interrupt Adam almost in mid-sentence, but fear not, if you join us next time, as we hope you will, we'll continue the story. In the meantime, thank you for watching Poland Daily History.